the filming of The Amazing Spider-Man, there were 56 Spidey suits created, 17 for Andrew Garfield, and multiple suits in different states of wear and tear for stunt actors. Barack Obama is a big fan of Spider-Man and has been collecting issues for years. After learning of this, Marvel approached him about appearing in an issue. Barack appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 583. Spider-Man first appeared in The Amazing Fantasy number 15 alongside the Fantastic Four. During the Civil War event in the comics, Tony Stark created a Spidey suit for Spider-Man, making him the Iron Spider. Before Spider-Man, Stan Lee was going to make Peter Parker Insect Man or Fly Man. In the comics, Spider-Man works for the X-Men as a teacher. Peter's parents, Richard and Mary Parker, were spies working for S.H.I.E.L.D. The debut comic of Spider-Man ended up being the #1 superhero debut comic of all time. Spider-Man was once rebooted as Miles Morales, a thief who stole a spider from the abandoned Oscorp building and got powers similar to Peter Parker. In 2011, an almost mint-condition copy of the Spider-Man debut comic was auctioned off for $1.1 million. Spider-Man was the first young superhero who didn't have a mentor. In the 90s, Michael Jackson tried to buy out Marvel so he could make a Spider-Man movie and play the role himself. Venom was originally a fan-based idea that Marvel bought the rights to for just over $200. Peter Parker's house is an actual address, and as of 2015, the residents are indeed the Parkers. Spider-Man was almost a TV star, but Uncle Ben's murder persuaded him to become a superhero. It's canon that Deadpool is constantly trying to make Spider-Man his best friend. Parker made a deal with Mephisto to bring Aunt May back to life at the price of his marriage to Mary Jane. Spider-Man's web fluid only lasts an hour, which is why there isn't a webby mess all over New York City. Peter Parker's middle name is Ben, after Uncle Ben. One time Spider-Man saved the world from aliens tricking teenagers into having unprotected sex. In one of the scenes of Amazing Spider-Man, a picture of actor and musician Donald Glover can be seen in Parker's bedroom. Maybe a good casting call for Miles Morales? The phrase "with great power comes great responsibility" wasn't included in The Amazing Spider-Man because Mark Webb believed the saying had been heard too many times and had lost its meaning. In the comics, Spider-Man joins the Fantastic Four in the stead of a recently deceased Johnny Storm, and also joins the new Fantastic Four with Ghost Rider, Wolverine, and Hulk. At one point, Spider-Man operated under 4 separate identities: criminals Ricochet and Dusk, and the heroes Hornet and Prodigy. Spider-Man accidentally kills Mary Jane because he has radioactive sperm. Spider-Man can't become a vampire permanently. His metabolism and radioactive blood burn away the enzymes that cause vampirism. Spider-Man possesses a regenerating factor similar to Wolverine, but not as powerful. Spider-Man can run up to 64 miles per hour, as proven in a race against Kraven, the hunter who possesses super speed. Apparently, the rules for creating Spider-Man the animated series were so strict that animators weren't allowed to depict the spider hitting anyone. In Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, the spider used in the movie is the one that was given anesthesia and painted. In the scene where Mary Jane falls and throws her cafeteria tray in the air, it doesn't use any CGI, and Maguire had to keep doing takes of the scene until he caught everything. Jake Gyllenhaal was supposed to play Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2, due to Tobey Maguire's back injury on the set of Seabiscuit, but he made a speedy recovery to reprise his role. The Spidey suits for Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man cost around $100,000, and 4 of them were stolen. Researchers at the University of Massachusetts are studying how gecko feet work, and have developed something called Gexskin that can, in theory, give someone the climbing abilities of Spider-Man. Stan Lee has stated that Daredevil's radar is better than Spidey's spider sense. There's an alternate version of Parker where he gets bitten by a radioactive sheep instead of a spider and becomes Sheep Boy. Heath Ledger was offered the role of Spider-Man before Tobey Maguire was. James Franco auditioned for the part of Peter Parker, but was assigned Harry Osborn instead. According to Stan Lee, Spider-Man wears a mask so his enemies can't tell when he's afraid. In the comics, Parker's boss J. Jonah Jameson marries Aunt May and becomes his uncle-in-law. Marvel once published a comic about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Ham, where Peter Porker, the pig, gets Spider-Man's powers. During dire circumstances in the Spider Island timeline of the comic, Spider-Man increased his mutation and gained almost psychic spider sense, a pair of stingers, and super strength. In the comics, Spider-Man has a clone who allegedly died, but returns 2 decades later as the Scarlet Spider. One of the most recent Spider-Man storylines includes Doc Ock transferring his mind into Peter's body to save his own life. For over a year, Dr. Octavius helped Peter get a PhD and found his own company, Parker Industries, before being forced to give Peter back his mind. Many people suspect that Peter Parker might be Jewish, based on common phrases he uses deriving from Hebrew meaning. Marvel tries to steer clear of religious affiliation most of the time. Believe it or not, Spider-Man was once transformed into a giant spider, and he emerged from his own body Attack on Titan style. As a longtime fan of Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield admits to shedding tears when he first wore the costume. Jamie Foxx and Chris Cooper are the first Oscar winners to portray Spider-Man villains. A skyscraper safety activist named Dan Goodwin climbed the Sears Tower in the John Hancock Center in Chicago in 1981 while dressed as Spider-Man. Spider-Man has featured over 79 villains facing off against the Webhead, including Electro, Doc Ock, Venom, Carnage, and the Crimson Spider. Hey everyone, thanks for watching another 50 Fast Facts.
Yes, and thank you, Tirid, for voicing this one for me. It's been a pleasure having you on. If you enjoyed his voice, you should check him out right here. And if you like this episode of Fast Facts, smack that subscribe button and be up to date on all things Neb. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Until next time.